Hello, I am Megan Dawson, and this is my teaching partner, Mr. LaFontaine.
Hi.
And hello, we're going to give you a little bit of the essential information about American Studies, the English and History course that your student is enrolled in for the year. American Studies is the study of American culture organized through an English and a history class. This course fulfills both the U.S. history and American literature requirement for your student to graduate from high school. So essentially in this program, they're getting 2 Accel credits in one course. I'm Megan Dawson. This is my 3rd year at LT and my 3rd year teaching American Studies. I am from Elmhurst, graduate of York High School, but I also have spent a lot of time in Western Springs growing up because I did dance class in Western Springs for the Trinity Irish Dancers. I graduated from St. Louis University, and I'm now getting my master's degree from Elmhurst College.
And I'm Ben LaFontaine, and let's see. So I grew up in Glen Ellen, and I graduated from Glenbard West High School, which is fine. I went to Valparaiso University for my undergraduate degree, and I went to grad school at UIC. This is my 23rd year teaching. I taught for 7 years at Morton West in Berwyn, and now this is my 16th year here at LT. The big picture of us, this is my family. We were in Jackson Hole last summer, before all these things happened. And that's my wife, and she is an English and reading teacher at Hinsdale South High School. And those are my 2 kids. Will, the elder one, is in 8th grade now, and Jack, the younger one, is in 4th grade this year. And they're both remote learning, and my wife and I are obviously both remote teaching. So we certainly understand things from both sides of the fence on this one. So that's me. The course itself is a little bit different because obviously we're a combined history and literature course, right? But beyond that, we approach the history from a slightly different perspective. Rather than being strictly chronological, we approach history somewhat thematically, and that allows for the literature piece to be intertwined, not necessarily topic by topic, but theme by theme. And so we've begun the year with this immigration to America or coming to America unit, where we talk about why people came here, whether it be in 1607 with Jamestown or a week ago. What is it that brings people to this place? And then 2, what's their experience like when they get here? What are the values that we as Americans portray to the world and in turn bring to the table when we're talking about people coming to this country? So it allows for us to talk about a whole range of topics, both historically, but also in the present day. And again, you can all read, but I'll quickly walk you through. Next up will be American ideologies. And that's a lot about sort of the basics of our government and how our government functions and why it was established the way that it was established more than 200 years ago. From there, we'll move into expansion and the growth of America. And then we'll end the semester talking about the Civil War and the legacy of slavery. Obviously, every one of those units that I've just mentioned has very direct and clear ties to what's happening present day. Second semester is we begin by talking about America at war. And there we'll talk a little bit about sort of pre-20th century conflict, but really it's about World War I, World War II, the Cold War, Vietnam, and then the War on Terror. The next unit is called the 20s, 50s, and 80s, which seems fairly random, but those 3 decades share an enormous amount in common and really are almost like a carbon copy of one another, if I can date myself. And then we end the year on what we feel is a really hopeful note, and it's about reform. And we talk a lot, that unit, with kids about recognizing problems, but then also how those problems are fixed or repaired or at least addressed at various points in our history. And so that's a very, very quick primer of what we're going to be teaching your students. And all along the way, there is literature that complements that. And we try to include some of the books and some of the authors that your students will be reading and seeing throughout. Ms. Dawson, did I miss anything?
No, I think, like you said, the literature will complement all of the themes that we're studying unit by unit, and that literature will be a variety of nonfiction, fiction, poetry. So there will really be like a broad variety of readings for each unit.
Cool. Conditions for learning. And this is going to be, I mean, like everything else this year, this is a little bit odd, right? But while the remote piece changes up the dynamic to some degree, some of these basic tenets are still very, very much a part of our class. You know, the idea of respect and emotional safety is huge. One of the things that Ms. Dawson and I started the year with was this basic understanding that we recognize and respect the fact that your kids are human beings, and we hope that they recognize and respect the fact that we are human beings. And if we operate from that understanding throughout the year, things are going to go pretty well. Beyond that, the second element is one of volume. And we really do expect your kids both to be reading and writing, not literally constantly, but routinely. That's a huge part of their success in the course, but also their ability to move forward as learners. In terms of time, it's going to be a huge factor. Because of the remote learning model, we have 75-minute classes, and there's an attention to detail there for your students that they need to invest in, but also there's still that expectation outside of class as well. Reading and writing as a reciprocal and intertwined relationship is a huge component of what we'll be doing, both the reading of history and literature, but also writing about history and writing about literature. And then finally, the engagement piece, which is where hopefully your kids find the work that they're doing to be meaningful. And one of the great things about teaching thematically is that we really do push the idea of relevance. You know, while we're talking about things that may have happened 100 years ago, or a piece of literature that was written 75 years ago, hopefully we're able to help draw your kids to see that there are some things that are common there from a century or more ago to their lives today. That's our hope.
So many of you are probably wondering how your student will be graded this year. We will design learning experiences based around a lot of practice before a student is eventually graded on the performance that they do for either history or English. We also like to have a lot of empathy for our students and offer revisions and retakes when they feel like they are struggling or they just need a little bit of extra help on an assignment or on a skill. This course is a bit unique because of the relationship between history and English and how we're able to design assignments. There are certain assignments that we refer to as links assignments. And for these assignments, your student will earn a grade both in English and history for the work that they've submitted. So we'll be really explicit and clear when those assignments happen because they clearly impact your student's grade a little bit more because they are impactful in both English and history. So you might be wondering how we are approaching this course differently this year because it's obvious that we have to. Through our online platform, we recognize that a lot of things we've done in the past is just not going to work this year because learning has to look different. So like many things in 2020, we're rolling with the punches, and we have a lot of different tools that we're using to try to keep the classroom environment feel like a community, and so that we can be super connected to one another. And obviously this takes place over Zoom, but we also have a lot of shared files on Google. Our course really lives on Canvas, so that is the place that your students should start always when they need to know what's going on. And we encourage you to also log into Canvas because you can see everything we are doing there, more so than really any other year before. So whatever you want to know about the course is available on Canvas, and then ultimately the gradebook is on Infinite Campus like it has always been. So the one thing you need to know there is that there might be some work that appears to be graded in Canvas, but it's not really officially a part of your student's grade until it is input into Infinite Campus. So,
So,
oh,
no,
sorry, go ahead.
okay. So the habits of mind. One of the things that we really want to impart to you um, is how truly passionate we feel about this course. This course is important to us both as professionals, but also as human beings. And so some of the things that we're really trying to work on with your students through the course are some of these ideas here. The idea of synthesis, the idea of them seeing the link between history and literature, and as we mentioned before, between the history and literature and the present day. The other piece that I want to really emphasize is the idea of asking questions. We live, as we're all keenly aware, in really, really divisive times. And there are enormous issues that have both been highlighted or created by this pandemic. And one of the things we really want to impart to you is that we're not trying to teach your kids what to think. We're trying to teach your kids to think, to consider, to critically analyze what's going on, to critically analyze what they read, whether it be about something in history or a piece of literature. And that idea of broad literacy plays into that too. Looking at what we're studying in history, looking at what we're reading through lit, and what's happening in the present day, and considering those things from a variety of perspectives. And that can be uncomfortable. But what's really great about teaching juniors in high school is that they are, their brain development is at a point where they no longer perceive the world as cut and dry. They are able to perceive complexities and understand complexities and understand that things are not, as binary as an A or a B, but there can be sort of a blended element of that. And so we're really looking forward to those kinds of conversations, and we're already having them, just in the last week and a half or so of class. So we're really encouraged by that. So I'm a dad, right? I've got two boys. I've got a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old. And right now, the 9-year-old, I'm very capable of helping him out with his work. 13-year-old, I realized just yesterday that maybe when it comes to math, he's going to need to move on to some greener pastures for help. But as a parent, I always want to know, what can I do to help my kid? And so the three big things that we would encourage you to emphasize with your students is, number one, reading, whether it be for me or for Miss Dawson or, my gosh, for pleasure, having them read, is an enormously important part of things. But also balance. One of the things that we're finding is that because school is in front of their laptop, they're kind of always capable of being at school and always capable of sort of having access to that work very readily. But to strike a balance, right, between doing their job as a student and doing their job to be a kid. And then the last piece is one that's enormous, and again, especially now, is self-advocacy. If kids are not understanding things, if they feel like they're falling behind, if there's something that is unclear, they should absolutely reach out to us. Whether it be an email while we're out of class, through the chat function on Zoom while we're in class, or even just asking a question outright, letting us know that they need help as soon as they possibly can is absolutely key. And we really want to encourage that on their part.
So thank you for hearing a bit about this course. If you have questions about anything we said today, or if you just want to reach out at all during the school year, our emails are right there. And we'd be happy to talk to you on the phone as well. If you would like to, just email us and let us know what works for you.
Thanks so much, everybody. Yeah, please reach out and let us know. And last thing, Ms. Dawson and I are extraordinarily excited to be teaching your kids. While we've only had, a week and a half or 2 weeks with them, both the morning and afternoon groups of kids that we have just been extraordinary and have really stepped up to the plate in an incredibly powerful way and made us feel really good about the class. I cannot tell you how many times we have emailed one another or texted one another after school about how great things are going with them. So we're excited about this, and we hope you're feeling really good about it too. But like Ms. Dawson said, if you do have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.